Welcome to part 2 of how to buy a house subject to. Today, we're going to fill out the purchase agreement. Let's go. My name is Sean Slaughter, real estate agent and investor, and today I'm going to walk you through how to fill out the purchase agreement. When completing your documentation for your subject to, and you get your document packet, in December 2021, when I did my very first subject to, the main 2 documents that I filled out were the purchase agreement. I filled that out along with the seller, and the land trust document that I filled out by myself. The land trust document I'm going to do in a third video, but today I'm going to walk you through the purchase agreement. So this is the purchase agreement, and I've color coded it just a little bit. The blue represents the information that comes from the from the seller, the person selling you the home. And the yellow represents the information that is coming from you, the buyer. So first, to get started, you're going to date this agreement on the day that you're sitting down with your seller. You're at a Starbucks, you're at maybe a dinner, and you bring the agreement with you. That's how I like doing it. I like making it personal, and you're going to date the agreement. So the seller, this is their name, John Doe, and this is the house that you are purchasing subject to, all right? Now, as the buyer, I am not going to put my name. I'm going to put my trust's name, okay? The trust name can be any name you want. You just think of a name. This house that I'm buying from the buyer is 123 Main Street, so I could have called it 123 Trust. I just called it 212 Trust because I wanted to, all right? And as the buyer, this is the trust's address, all right? So the parties agree the seller will buy and the buyer will buy the following property. And again, you're gonna do a little bit of redundancy. The property is gonna be in the city of Richmond, state of Virginia, or wherever you live. So you're gonna have to fill that out. And then again, you're gonna put the property that you are purchasing. Again, you're also going to have to find the legal description. As a real estate agent, I get this from Realist, which is something that we have access to, but you can find that from county records if you do a little Googling. Let's hop down. Encumbrances. Now remember, you're buying the property subject to the mortgage, which means it's going to come with a lien or a mortgage. It may have 1 or 2 liens or mortgages, okay? This property had 1 mortgage. So I wrote down the bank of the mortgage. I wrote down how much the mortgage was or current balance. Why am I putting that? Because if today is the 2nd and our closing date isn't until the 25th, then that mortgage is going to be either higher because it's accruing interest, or it may be lower after a payment is made by the seller. You might make a payment in the middle of the transaction. Either way, that mortgage is going to be different than what you put on here. So you find out what the current mortgage is and you put or current balance. So this says that the total purchase price to be paid by the buyer, you, is going to be the $103,297 paid as follows. All right. So first of all, you're going to decide how much you're going to put down as an earnest money deposit. You can put down $10. You can put down $500, but you decide how much. I'd put down $100. And the loan payoff, again, you're writing the same number again, the loan payoff or current balance. Now for my subject to, I didn't have any of these. I didn't have, any credit for taking the property subject to. So I didn't, have any of that. I didn't have an amount to cure the loan default. So if the loan, was in default by $10,000, you would put $10,000 there. I didn't have any. I didn't have any seller financing, and there was not a balance due to or from the seller at closing. I paid the seller's closing costs, and I would suggest you do the same. It's just a courtesy. They are allowing you to take their property subject to. You're getting it as a great deal. Be a giver, not a taker. Go ahead and pay their closing costs. And then this is going to be the escrow agent. that you're going to use, whether it's a title company or an attorney. You're going to put that there. All right. And there's just information about the lien estimates and how they're subject to change. It's about seller financing. Again, I didn't have any of that stuff, so we're going to skip down a little bit more. And this is important because this says the seller agrees to furnish at closing marketable title to said property and agrees to convey and said property by warranty deed to the buyer at closing. All right. This is what this whole document is for. We are going to take over the property subject to, and they're going to give you the deed to this property. Subject only to the following liens. And this is the only lien that I had. So I put who the lien was with, Wells Fargo. I put the actual loan number. And again, the number and current balance. Earnest money in default. Again, I put the earnest money there like I did last time. And then this just goes through the earnest money in default. Closing. Now you're going to set up with your attorney when you're going to close. For me, it took me about 2 weeks. So our closing date was on or before or about, which is what I love, because you put a closing date and you could get a call from the lawyer saying, hey, are you guys available to close on the 27th? Absolutely, let's do it. This says the seller shall deliver at closing a general warranty deed subject only to those liens and encumbrances. Please be sure that you are aware of all the liens and any encumbrances, anything that is attached to that property before you purchase this property. Because if you don't know what is attached to that property, let's say there's a mechanical lien on it. A mechanical lien is when, let's say a contractor goes up there and fixes the roof. You're supposed to pay that $7,000. You never pay him. He puts a lien on your house for $7,000, which means that when the house is sold, that lien must be paid before the house is purchased by a new buyer. Make sure you know all the liens and all the encumbrances that may be attached to that house so that you know what you're paying for. You know how much money that you're gonna have to dish out. All right. Seller has no rights to the property upon closing. Again, the loan is going to remain in their name, but they won't have any right to the property. Make sure that at closing, you tell the seller to bring the keys and the extra keys, all that type of stuff. I mean, you're going to put new locks, or you should put new locks and things on it anyway, but the seller should understand that once they sell this to you and deed this house to you, that it's basically sold. Do on sale closure. Now, this is one of the key things that people are always concerned about when it comes to subject to. Most loan companies, when a house is sold, they want to be paid in full. That is due on sale clause. All right. Because we're not talking to the mortgage company and we're only being concerned with the deed, because what are we doing? We're being deeded the property and we're just continuing to pay the mortgage. Ideally, if the mortgage company found out, they could call their money. And again, with most of the investors that I know and friends that I know, they said that this rarely happens 99% of the time. And then the seller goes through a bunch of acknowledgements that they initial, understands that they're engaging in a transaction and giving them equity. The seller understands the buyer's not acting as a representative, and so on and so forth. Here's another thing that the seller needs to understand is that when you make these payments, you're going to say that you're going to make these payments until the loan is paid off. That means that that loan will stay in their name for, it could be 20 years. Or you may fix it up in 3 months, flip it and pay the loan off in 3 or 4 months. All right. They just have to understand that that loan is going to be in their name. This part is the reason that the seller is doing subject to. And it's either I can't afford the payments or I need a quick sale. They can just write one of those. You ain't got to write a whole book. Now, as we scroll down, you're not going to fill out any of this information until you get to closing. All right. So don't even worry about this information right now. You can have this signed and completed when you get to closing, and the lawyer can walk everybody through that. All right. So that is how you're going to fill out this purchase agreement. Again, in the link below, we do have the subject to package and we do have the land trust package available. And I really appreciate you guys' support. Hopefully that helped. In video number 3, I will go over how to complete the land trust document. In the meantime, like, subscribe, karate chop that bell for notifications, and thank you for joining the House of Motivation, the place where inspiration lives. Peace.